Good afternoon, Hafaday, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. The date is Friday, the 11th of July, 2025, and this afternoon's public hearing is held by the Committee on Transportation, Tourism, Customs, Utilities, Federal and Foreign Affairs, and is hereby called to order. It is now 2 o'clock. Before we begin, allow me to go over a few housekeeping matters. Public notice for this hearing was duly disseminated in accordance with the Open Government Law. The first notice was sent out July 3rd, 2025, and the second notice on July 9th, 2025. These notices were made available to all senators, local media outlets, the Guam Legislature's website, our legislative calendar, and the Government of Guam's public notice portal. The agenda for today is as follows: the appointment of Corazon R. Montalano to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board of Directors. Also, the appointment of Minakshi V. Hemlani to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board of Directors. And rounding off will be Bill number 14138-CR relative to expanding limited exemptions for permitting requirements for small-scale on-site composting activities. At this time, I would like to acknowledge and welcome my colleagues who are present here this afternoon. For Senator Sean Montalano, thank you for being here. Senator Terlaje, thank you as well for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much. Before we proceed, I'd like to also remind all attendees of the Statute and Guam's the general rules of conduct. Individuals wishing to testify must first be recognized by the chair and shall state their full name for the record. Testimony and discussion must remain germane to the subject matter of the hearing. Personal attacks or inferences about the character or motives of any senator or individual testifying are strictly prohibited. In accordance with Section 1107 of the standing rules of the 38th Guam Legislature, the chair may order the removal of any individual failing to maintain decorum. We'll now begin with testimony and the appointment of Corazon R. Montalano to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board of Directors. We have actually anyone else other than Ms. Hemlani? Will you be submitting, you'll be doing oral testimony for, oh, okay, okay, go ahead. Sabina, yeah, okay. Okay. I don't think, we don't have a complete listing here.
She said she needs this sheet.
Huh?
She said she needs this sheet.
This one here? Okay. And we'll go ahead. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we'll now begin with testimony for the appointment of Corazon R. Montalano to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board of Directors at this time. Okay, she's already there. And also Mr. Andrew Gale, please again state your name and your position, and then we'll start off with Mr. Gale. Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Senator Gumatata, Senator Taidagui. Thank you for this opportunity. My testimony is actually combined both for Minakshi and for Kora. They're both current board members, so I'll go ahead. Otherwise, I'll just have to say it twice. So. Okay.
No problem, no problem. Save us time. Looks like it's going to be a fast one anyway.
Yeah. Hafaday, senators of the committee and members of the legislature. My name is Andrew Gale, the current chairman of the Guam Solid Waste Board of Authority Directors. I am honored to provide this testimony in support of the reappointment and confirmation of Minakshi Hemlani and Kora Montalano to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board. I've had the privilege of working with both Minakshi and Kora for many years as board members, and I can confidently say that they are people of integrity, diligence, and vision. With Minakshi's legal background and Kora's public finance background, they both bring professional expertise and a deep commitment to improving the quality of life in Guam. The GSWA faces challenges and opportunities as it works to modernize our island's waste management systems, promote sustainability, and ensure environmental compliance. Minakshi and Kora are well positioned to contribute meaningfully in this regard. Their prior experience with the GSWA board, GMH, GPA, GWA, along with their collaborative approach to problem solving, will continue to be a tremendous asset to the board. Beyond their technical qualifications, what stands out about each of them is their dedication to public service. Whether it's through community cleanups, educational outreach, attending court hearings, or advocating for more efficient recycling practices, they consistently show up and step up. I believe both Minakshi and Kora will bring a thoughtful oversight, transparency, and long-term planning to GSWA's operations. Their presence on the board will help ensure the authority continues to move toward a more sustainable, accountable, and community-focused direction. I respectfully urge this body to confirm Minakshi and Kora to the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board. I thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have. Suzulis Maasi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gill. Appreciate the testimony. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do as well is so our staff won't be confused in regards to the question when they put this down in writing. So I'll go ahead and ask. Thank you very much for stepping up here, for coming up at the table as well. But let me go ahead and we'll go round of questions first for Ms. Corazon first, and then we'll come around to you. That way, our staff won't be confused as to who is speaking and you know what time, right? But thank you very much. Okay, so Ms. Montalano, you shared your professional and personal experiences, and definitely, Mr. Gale's testimony, you're definitely qualified, very, very much qualified to sit on the board. In what ways do you believe your background will contribute to the board's oversight and long-term planning responsibilities?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. Like what he has said, I've worked with the Guam Power Authority for the last almost 30 years. So I have been their Assistant Chief Financial Officer for that period of time. And before that, I was a controller at FHP. So with my utility background, and at the same time, I also had worked with Guam Waterworks for a year. So I have done a lot of rate cases before the PUC. I have done cost of service as well, assisting the Chief Financial Officer and filing with the PUC and the rate cases. And as you know, the LIAC has been every 6 months. So I'm the person behind that when I was at GPA. So with that experience and background, I think I can contribute more to Guam Solid Waste as a board member. And I've done that in the past few years that I've been with them. It's just that my appointment expired. So, and I'm still attending their meetings as you know, not as a member, but as a part of the ratepayers of Guam. Yeah.
Okay. Also, in your packet that you submitted, you disclosed having a stake in certain consulting companies.
Yes.
Can you clarify that?
Well,
yes.
Okay. I have a license that with revenue and tax doing accounting work on the side, just to make myself busy because, like I said, I've retired 5 years now. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also a member of an LLC that I work with my retirees at GPA. So we do some, you know, consulting work with a few companies here on island, small companies.
Okay, but that being said, and the reason why I'm asking that because that might be a time where those companies or individuals that you have in the past done work for before come before the board for whatever situation. How would you handle a potential conflict of interest then?
Oh, well, like I said, well, yeah, that had come up also that, you know, because right now I'm working, we have a project with Public Utility Commission, so I make sure that the work that we do for is not for Guam Solid Waste, but for other utilities which we have knowledge of, which is with GPA right now. So yeah, so that, you know, I will not have a conflict of interest like with Guam Solid Waste, because Guam Solid Waste, they have their own consultant, and PUC has their own also consultant exclusively for Guam Solid Waste. So if ever I would be involved in that, I would probably recuse myself from it.
Okay. Now, in your view, I mean, sitting, your time has expired, but up for renewal here. In your view, what's the most pressing issues currently facing Guam Solid Waste Management System, and how should the board prioritize addressing those issues?
Well, like I have said in my testimony, I don't know if you've read it, we have now a rate petition with PUC for Guam Solid Waste, increasing the rates, especially for the residential customers from, I believe we're paying now $30 a month, right, for the refuse collection. Now that will go up to $35. Because like I said, I'm a finance person, and the first thing that I look at is the financial statement of the authority. And that's when I noticed that they're really, I'm not gonna say struggling, but what they're earning over the years is just enough to cover their obligations. And mind you, they have not raised rates for several years. Their revenues have been flat over the years, and yet their expenses have gone up. And I noticed, the first thing that I noticed was the order dump post-closure care. And that takes a lot of money, and it's a long process. So that alone takes a toll on the financial condition of Guam Solid Waste.
Well,
so,
let me ask you, because as we speak as well, actually we're going to be going into session here, and when are we going into session? In a couple of weeks. And one of the bills that we're going to be entertaining, of course, is the universal trash collection as well. You talked about your petition to the PUC regarding rate increase. What do you see, should universal trash legislation pass and signed into law or lapse into law, whatever direction the governor may desire to have that come into law, do you see that petition then to the PUC regarding the rate increase decrease then?
Yes, I think there was already a cost of service done. And our manager, Herbs has mentioned that before, that once the collection to be mandatory, right? So that means all the residential customers will be participating. So that means lower rates for everyone. And we're calculating from 30, it can go as low as $22 per month. So that's a huge decrease if everybody participates. And I think that's our goal, is for everyone to really participate, and that cost can be allocated to a bigger base, bigger customer base.
Do you know how long that would take to be able to, again, for the infrastructure to come in place? Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah.
So he can explain
yes,
better.
Okay,
I don't think we can do this one time.
Yeah. That being said, how long would it take for that to be able to come into effect, to be able to get, again, universal trash? Because you're going to have to get your infrastructure in place, right, for that. How long would it take to get that in place?
Thank you, Senator Lujan. My name is Irv Slyke. I'm the general manager for Guam Solid Waste. Our staff looked at the timing of implementation. So there's two things that have to occur. One is the purchase and delivery of 40,000 trash and recycling carts. So the last estimate we got from federal GSA is you should plan on at least 12 months from the time that for the time that the PO is signed off on. The last batch of carts that we actually purchased, there was a protest that lasted roughly 6 months. So given that, what we plan to at least announce is that if this is passed relatively shortly, we would plan on full implementation in January of 2028. That gives us enough time to get the carts procured, go through a protest potentially, and then, as I was explaining to Kora, financially, to move somebody off of a $35 to a $38 rate to a 22 means that we would sort of modeled this before. We would do 1 month of cart delivery, sign them up to the lower rate, take another month for the other carts to be delivered, and then sign them up so that we wouldn't suffer, an enormous loss of revenue if we try to implement it all at once.
Okay. So let me ask you.
So that's a 10-month period.
10-month period. Okay. So your petition then with the PUC in regards to the rate increase, and should it pass, and again, the full implementation won't happen until January of
2028.
2028. Will the increase then kick in, and then 2028 it'll drop? Is that what you're saying?
2028 would be, if that's the implementation, then it would drop. Everybody would be at 20.
Okay, but in the meantime,
but some of the people during mid to late 2027 would also get the lower rate.
Okay. Ms. Montalano, what strategies or policies do you support to help reduce then the overall waste production and increase waste diversion, such as recycling, composting, or landfill alternatives?
Yeah. Well, on a personal note, like myself, since I retired just before the pandemic, and that's when I realized I need to start composting, right? Because I'm starting a garden in my backyard. So that's one way of really reducing waste, is start composting. So all my scraps from the kitchen, even my leftovers, so it cut my refuse in half. So that, as an individual, I can do it. What more, most of our residents are encouraged to do that. So that's really one way of reducing, trash that's going to the landfill right now. So that's on my personal.
Sure.
But again, if we can probably do some public announcement or public education to start doing that, then we'll probably save a lot to to all the refuse that are going to.
How do you feel? How do you feel about waste to energy? It's not going to determine whether you get appointed.
It's a good idea, the waste to energy. I think that has been many times to our general manager at Guam Power Authority. That has been, I guess, there's been back and forth on that. But as far as I remember, the waste to energy is really very expensive and may not be good to the environment. But that, I think an engineer would be able to explain that more.
Yeah. No, and I wish we would not talk about a particular contract, but just the concept of a waste to energy in itself. Because as we're looking for alternatives, and likewise, at some point, maybe not. I'm hoping it's not within our lifetime, but in Lujan, right? At some point, we're not going to be able to use that anymore. And so where else do we go? So just the concept of a waste to energy. And I'm sure, there are new technologies that come in, constantly, right? Mr. Gale knows, I think my i15 phone is almost obsolete now. But so new technologies are coming in place constantly. And what was once, 15, 20 years ago
may not be feasible.
It's not feasible now, but new technologies.
With the new technology, it may be, but again, I'm not sure at this time.
Okay. One last question, and then I'll ask my colleagues if have any questions for you, and then we'll go to Hemlani. Given the Solid Waste Board's role in overseeing critical public service, how would you ensure, of course, transparency, accountability, and public trust in the decisions made by the board?
Sorry, sir?
Yeah, based on, again, the critical nature of course, the board that you're sitting on, how would you ensure that there's transparency, accountability? Not to say that it's not, but how would you ensure that it continues, right? And the public trust in the decisions that are made by the board.
Yeah, I think we have been transparent. We have our board meeting every month, and we do it on Zoom. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, those who are interested can see what issues that we are discussing every month and how we're resolving whatever issues that Guam Solid Waste would be presenting to the board. And we work collaboratively. I really love this group, to be honest with you. Our chairman, Minakshi, and the other two members, we work collaboratively to ensure, you know, that we address all the issues. And I think we've been transparent on all of this, you know, during the time that I've been with them, or since 2021.
Okay. Thank you. Senator Sean, can we limit the questions to just Ms. Montalano right now? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Kora, for being here. And after a long career at GPA, why you would want to come and serve in a board is, I'm still scratching my head because I'm sure you could be retired.
I know.
But it is good seeing you here at the Guam Legislature. I just wanted to ask just a quick question is what do you think is the biggest challenge that really does face the Solid Waste Authority outside of perhaps going down the road of trying to you know, do this universal trash collection? What is the biggest challenge that you see that you guys face on the board?
Again, being a finance person, right, I think the challenge that they have right now is because we know that the OR.dump dump, that's already taken care of. They have money for the post-closure care of that plant. Now we have to look for the other landfill, the Lujan landfill. I don't know how many years it has before it's closed. And then, of course, there's post-closure care, and they don't have money for that. That's why we are asking for this rate increase, so we can fund that. And at the same time, they have to think long-term, right? They need to see when are we going to open the new landfill in the next few years, and how they're going to fund it. So it's critical, again, the financial health of the Guam Solid Waste. So I think that's the next one that they need to look into. Right now and in the next few years.
Okay, and for me,
And also I guess the receivership, I think that's gonna end soon. Yeah, sorry.
do you think that the receivership is pose a greater problem than, say, just opening another landfill, or I guess going to the next phase of the landfill process?
No, I think we just don't want to go back to the way it was before. That's why we were in the receivership. We were not able to plan for the landfill, the closure, and the post-closure care for that. So we need to plan ahead and make sure we don't go back to receivership. We want to take care of our own thing here on Guam rather than have, you know, the receivership take over, and it's more expensive, mind you. So I think we're better off. We have a good manager on board right now who can really take care of everything from collection to the landfill operation and, you know, maintenance.
All right, thank you so much, Kora, and I do look forward to voting on and positively for your confirmation to the board. Thank you so much again for your service to the people of Guam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Sean. Senator Tadigui.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to my colleagues, and of course, good afternoon to those who are here. Be Babetness, it's Friday, hallelujah, you know, so. But first, thank you so much for wanting to step up to the plate and serve on this board, a very critical board. A lot of times we get calls about the rates, you know, of our bills, their bills, and you know, the tipping fees and what's going on, you know, why is it being raised, et cetera. So I guess my question to the two of you sitting on this board, and you are returning individuals, right? Okay. So just state for me how long, how many terms this is, how long is your term, and what are you going to do to ensure that the prices of the tipping fees are going to stay at a level that's more affordable for our community?
Well, I think this...
Just speak directly into the mic. Pull the mic, mic closer there. Thank you. Sorry, this room is very bad. Yeah. Echoes a lot.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Senator, for that question. I think my term is for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. And I think my last term is... can't remember, it was 2 years, and then I assumed somebody else's term, so I think mine was shorter. So that's why I'm now here for appointment for, I think, 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I'll clarify.
Yeah, we'll clarify that.
The terms of the Guam Solid Waste Authority board members, by statute, there's no term. In the last appointment letters from Governor Calvo and from Governor Leon Guerrero, there were term limits, which is why the terms expired. But I believe if you read the appointment letters now, there is not a term. So that's to answer your question.
Okay, so that's not even in legislation or by Guam Code annotated on, yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's something that was bypassed?
Yeah, the enabling legislation doesn't have a term limit for the board members.
Is there a recommendation by the board or by the director of Guam Solid Waste to incorporate a term?
I don't have a recommendation at this particular time. No, thank you.
Okay. So you've served 2 years already, and now you're going for a term that the governor has put you in for 4 years, correct? Okay.
That's my understanding, Senator.
Yes.
I don't know if it...
No, you're doing good.
I think so. I have to go back to the letter.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what will you be doing to ensure that the tipping fees stay at a reasonable amount for our community to have to afford?
Yeah. Again, Senator, if we can push forward with the mandatory island-wide trash collection, that we would really would put our rates lower than what it is now. And then if we can also push forward with the lifeline rate for the low-income families and individuals, then this would really help everyone on the island. And like at GPA and GWA, they have lifeline rates, so we can help and work together to push forward with that. Thank you.
And thank you for that. Mr. Chair, we're just doing one appointee at a time?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so we'll save my question for you later. Okay. Have a little more time to think about that one. When you said that, I looked at your application and that you're in retire mode, so I thank you so much for that. I'm hoping that you make every single meeting that there is. And, when you talked about you're putting a farm together, a lot of people, a friend of mine actually had said this, actually a couple of them said, I said, hey, you're in retirement age, why aren't you retiring? And they said, well, because I don't know how to farm.
It's really difficult, but once you start...
It's great, right?
Yeah, it's
well,
really
I'm looking
great.
forward to it. I might not have a green thumb, but I'm looking forward to it. And that brings me to a situation where our landfill, about 29% of our landfill is filled with food, wasted food.
Yes.
You're looking at almost 20,000 tons, that is into our landfill. And this creates, of course, much, issues with the environment. So is there anything the board has been talking about, how to deal with this huge amount of food waste into our landfill?
Yeah, like I've said before, remember when I retired in 2020, that's when I realized I need to do something about the food waste and the kitchen scraps that I have at home. So like I said earlier, I really have cut my refuse in half by just simply doing that. When I started my gardening, I started composting, and that really helped.
Okay. Is there any way that we can put that on to the public where there are outreach programs and education sources and funding for that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If we can be more open to public announcement on those kind of things. Yeah, and little things can help.
Does Solid Waste have any funding for that educational side of it? And I'll ask Mr. Skype.
Excuse me, at this time, no.
There's no funding.
However, I have, as a manager, supported those programs in Frederick, Maryland, and Windsor, Connecticut. So they are possible. Yeah.
And how much funding? Well, kind of think of a Guam scale, right? Because we're not like in millions of people versus, Guam is 155,000.
So when I was approached by Jacobs when they put together the solid waste plan, I had strenuously advocated for, if you wanted to go to food waste composting, start with the commercial sector first. because they are in a position to separate out the food from other sorts of contaminants. When you go to individual households with food waste, you end up with a whole bunch of contaminants, and it's very expensive, and it's a very small quantity that you can get. So my thought was to go to the commercial, the restaurants, the hotels, the supermarkets who throw away the produce, go to those first, get the bulk of the clean compostable material, and then do that. And then the backyard composting is something that, conscientious people like Kora take the time to make sure they don't put inappropriate material in their own backyard compost, because they suffer the consequences. And so in the past, we've had US EPA fund the distribution of the compost bins, and we would provide, the advertising and the distribution.
Yeah, that was my next question. Sure. How are you collaborating with EPA? But you just said it. You just need some funding, though, right, to move forward on it. And again, if you can come up with that number, money amount, and let your oversight chair, know how much something like that would cost. I mean, 20 tons of food in a landfill, which creates, gases that are detrimental to our environment. I do like to commend you on your website. I'm a stickler for websites, and seeing that every board has been, meeting every month has been met, greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Kudos to that person. I always feel real happy, because transparency is everything. If you want to show the public that you're doing a job that is meant for them, then you will notify them on everything you do. And that also brings trust from the community, for that. So now, in the 30th Guam legislature, first time I became senator, I introduced legislation that would create, just an assessment on methane recovery from the landfill, our current landfill. So can you say, is there anything regarding methane recovery in the mix of looking forward to capturing that energy or renewable energy at all? Have you, the board, I'm going to ask the board this, and I'll put you on the hot seat in another day, but it's, have the board ever talked about that, methane recovery? Oh, you just turn on your mic. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have discussed that earlier on. I think Mr. Slack was the one who proposed it, that once we close one of the Lujan landfill, to put solar panels on top of it so that we can, produce power out of it. And so that's one idea of, using the land, upon closure of that landfill. So that's one good idea that we haven't really started talking to GPA yet, but I think one time we did ask for a grant for that. I don't think we haven't gotten anything on that yet. So that's one idea.
Yes, twice for a grant for that, yes.
Yeah.
And I think DBW did some work, hopefully, because back then, like I said, it was in 2009 that I introduced that legislation. But it's something that we can have an opportunity. I know that friends who take that crossroad to Jotnya at home, they can see the fire just burning constantly, from the old landfill, that we had. And this is energy that we can kind of capture. Even if it is just to power up certain areas, it's going to save us some money. And we need to be in that mode of finding ways to save money, considering the predicament we're in. Other than that, Kora, I know you definitely have the means and of course the talent that's needed for this board because of your background. And I greatly appreciate you wanting to continue to serve. So as I tell everybody, if there's anything I can do to help you, or if you find something that's kind of, shenaniganish like, please feel free to tell it to Tello or give me a call.
Yeah, thank you, Senator.
Okay,
Will
thank
do.
you. Okay, Esther. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Tandingui. Attorney Hemlani?
Yes, Senator.
Yeah. You go ahead and you can open with your testimony for yourself.
Well, I was first appointed to this board in 2017. This is my third appointment, and Chairman Gale has been here longer than me, so I've had the pleasure of working with him for a very long time. But I suppose in support of my testimony, I just want to say I'm happy to continue to serve. And this, I'm echoing what Kora said, that it's a great board right now. We collaborate very well. We have a good general manager, and I'm happy to see the success in how we're moving forward.
That's great to have a board member that's a legal counsel as well.
I try to separate myself from that whenever Chairman Gale tries to volunteer me to things.
Get two for the price of one. and underpaid at that.
Yes, I do have experience, you might have seen on my resume, doing some government representation. So while we do have our own legal counsel for the board, that's not my role.
Sure.
It is helpful for me and for our board when we face things internally, for example, in terms of procurements or other legal contracts or considerations that we might have. I have some input on that.
Okay. So yeah, in your tenure as, of course, a board member as well, what do you think the most significant accomplishments or lessons you've learned, again, that will carry forward for reconfirmation?
Well, I'm glad Kora went first because she mentioned a lot of things already, but the accomplishments, there's been quite a bit. I mean, before I was appointed to the board, I know that there was a complete change to the character of the Guam Solid Waste Authority to become this autonomous agency and separate itself, and it's been going through receivership for a number of years now, which we hope is very much to the close soon. With our new management, there have been a lot of innovative ideas. For example, the solar panels on top of the liaison fill, the soon closure of the Ordot landfill, it is closed, but working on the post-care closure. There have been other ideas that our general manager has come up with. For example, we've been changing to electric fleet of trucks. So we have some trucks that are now on biodiesel. This goes to the questions with, trying to conserve resources and doing waste to energy. We've come up with a lot of different ways to do that through great management, and our board is always supportive of that. So that's some of the accomplishments I can think of off the top of my head.
Sure. And likewise, your role as a board member, of course, is not the legal counsel, but it's great to have legal minds in the board as well to help to navigate the regulatory compliance and oversight as well. So
right.
But thank you for that. Yeah. Again, likewise, as an attorney as well, right? How would you handle again maybe a conflicting situation that may come about with the board?
Yeah, fortunately, I haven't had that situation yet, but if that was the case, I would just have to abstain from any potential vote.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or discussion, frankly.
Sure. Okay. I think that's it for me at this point. Senator Montalano.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Minakshi, for being with us. And
Thank
kind
you.
of like what I started with Kora, is that you could be doing other things, and I had the privilege to work with you when I was at the judiciary.
Yes.
So jumping into public service, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying, wow, thank you again for your continued service to the people of Guam. One of the things that I've been stressing since I've been here in this branch is a lot of times people, when they come to the legislature, they're always thinking everything has got to be about appropriation or money, but it really should be about policy. When you think about maybe what would be for you if when you get back onto this board, what do you think is the single biggest policy that you think that needs to be addressed to support the authority's needs today?
I'm going to echo what Kora said, the island-wide collection bill, not for the financial purposes, although that is very important, but I think it also would be helpful for Guam. We have a lot of problems with, roadside dumping, and, we want to keep our island beautiful, and we want everybody to be able to participate in what should be an island-wide utility. So I think that's definitely on the top of my list, and I think what should be pushed for our island.
And then my other question is, when we think about the moving forward in this next year, outside of that, is there anything that jumps out at you as a member of the board that outside of this singular policy that needs to be kind of addressed outside of that? Is there anything else that jumps out at you over the next maybe 6 months or so?
Not to me personally. Our board has been incredibly transparent. Like Senator Taitui said, you could see everything on our minutes and on our website. The other things that we're working on that you've seen is, well, we're trying to end the receivership. We have had an issue with leachate that we're trying to work through and hopefully resolving. We're working on our ratepayer case. I don't think there's anything else that hasn't already been put to the public.
All right, thank you so much. And I do look forward to voting positively on your confirmation
Thank you.
again. And wow, thank you for your service to people of Guam once again.
Appreciate it. Thank you too.
Thank you, Senator Montalano. Senator Tadigue.
Thank you. Well, half a day again. I think I've been in front of your confirmation a couple times before, and greatly appreciate you wanting to serve again. You know, and I try, especially individuals like you who've been serving for quite some time, I always try and ask them to please, you know, try and recruit the next generation, because what you have right now is very instrumental for this board, and that's historical data and history sitting on the board. It really makes a difference to have that kind of information that's not normally written down, and you experience a situation. And so I ask that if you can please, you know, try to encourage the next generation, you know, to step up and, you know, school them on what happened, what the board's all about. So I greatly appreciate you wanting to continue. And so, of course, I'm going to ask you the same questions. You know, I'll go ahead and just repeat some of them on the food and waste that's abundant in our landfill. What would you like to do to see you know, us addressing this huge issue on our island, the food waste going into our landfill?
Right. Well, I do garden, but I'm not to the level of composting just yet. So Cora's far ahead of me there. But I appreciated what our general manager said, that we start with our restaurants, we start with the grocery stores. I do remember when Mr. Slyke first came onto our board, we were talking about educating our public for recycling. And one of the things that he mentioned is that you need to start this early, when, you know, kids are in 3rd or 4th grade, really, to get this mindset that recycling is important and it needs to be done. So when we talk about education and outreach, I think it should start at an early age. Our mandate for the Guam Solid Waste is waste management, and we have had some challenges with recycling, especially during the pandemic, when I think certain countries weren't accepting. For example, when we do shipments of plastics or shipments of glass, it was a question of where are we going to recycle these things, so that hasn't been our primary focus, although we certainly don't want to stop recycling. But the education component is important, because otherwise in residential households you do see a lot of contamination with the separation of recycling and waste.
Thank you for that. I know that Peggy is she still on the board, right, Peggy?
She's our champion for recycling.
Isn't that something? She's amazing. Everybody knows her for that, and she's so untireless when it comes out to just really trying to educate people. And she does it in such a classy way, too, I have to tell you. And so, you know, that being said, and I know she tries to recruit, I don't know if you've heard of the Coral Kids, you know, Save the Reef, Coral Kids. It's in the schools, like you said. You hit it on the nose when you said you start them young, you know, to educate them. And so maybe, you know, even though there's not that much funding, you know, available for outreach programs like that, that maybe you can start some kind of club in the schools and bring them out, like on recycle, reuse, you know, renewable energies, and have these group of individuals in each school as a club, like they do at the Coral Kids, you know.
No, I agree, Your Honor, and I think I'm in court. I'm calling you Your Honor.
Well, thank you for that honor.
I give anybody with deference that title. I just wanted to say that, you know, I think we do that on Guam, not only with Guam Solid Waste, but other agencies who do public service announcements and talk about littering and keeping our island beautiful. And it's wonderful that we have a lot of community projects where people do arrange beach cleanups, and certain companies will adopt roadsides to keep clean, but that's also a little sad, and which is why we need our island-wide collection to prevent this sort of dumping and change the mindset at the same time. We shouldn't have to have these beach cleanups. We should be keeping them clean as it is my feeling. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it shouldn't be once a year. I mean, it should be like every month. So maybe you can get these kids at these schools, you know, to put together their clubs.
Here's a trash can.
Yeah.
Please don't throw it on the beach.
True.
So,
true, yeah.
And I appreciate what you said about recruitment as well, Senator Tadigue. I wanted to say that because we have that issue on Guam even in our professional field, and we're always trying to bring the younger generation back and recruit them and train them, because one day I want to be a retiree like Kora, so
Me too.
We can't do this forever.
Me too. Um, the other question I had asked is regarding, the tipping fee. How, innovative ways, thinking outside the box. How are we going to try and keep this tipping fee at a cost that's acceptable by our community? And I know if you want to add to that, or what Kora said earlier, but.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything else to add to that. Our board is very conscious of keeping rates down for our consumers. We're one of the consumers as well, but it's just come to the point where we see we haven't raised rates in a very long time. And until we can get the island-wide collection bill passed, it is necessary to raise in the interim.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate, again, you being here today. And like I invited Kora, please, if there's anything I can do to assist you, if you see something that, you want it confidential and something that we can do to help you make things better for the Guam Solid Waste, please let me know. And even on a personal level, because I work for you,
I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Taidigui. Ladies, thank you very much again for wanting to continue to service serve the people of Guam. So that will conclude, actually, this confirmation hearing for both, of course, Ms. Corazon Montalano and Attorney Minakshi Hemlani. So with that, we're going to take a quick recess and switch over as we deliberate on Bill 141-38 CRR, which I think you guys are going to testify as well on that, right? So we'll take a couple minutes.
Thank you,
recess.
Senator.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We look forward to, and let me just say that we're going to try to get this in July session. I can't promise. I think the date has come and gone, but if not, we'll tack it on maybe to the budget bill in August, September. Then, okay? Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We'll go ahead and start then. Okay, we're back from recess. We'll now be hearing, of course, Bill number 141-38 CRR. And this Bill 141-38 CRR. Author, of course, Senator Sabina Flores Perez. Co-authors, of course, Senator Chris Barnett, Senator Terlaje, Senator Tina Rose Mooney Barnes, and Senator Will Parkinson. An act to add a new section 51104H to Article 1, Chapter 51, Division 2, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, to repeal Section 23104D and 5 and add a new Section 23104.1 to all of Chapter 23, Division 4, Title 22 of the Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations relative to expanding limited exemptions from permitting requirements for small-scale on-site composting activities. And Senator Sabina Flores Perez is at a doctor's appointment and unable to make it, so I'm going to be reading her opening and closing testimony this morning, or this afternoon. Bill 141-38 aims to promote island-wide small-scale composting by expanding permitting exemptions. Currently, the Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations only provides one permitting exemption for composting waste generated from no more than 3 households for personal use, with no permitting exemptions for other small-scale composting activities, such as those from farms, community gardens, or schools, etc. Composting is suggested as one of the top methods for diverting organic waste away from landfills, as organic waste often makes up a large portion of landfill material. In Guam, organic waste makes up 26% of our total landfill waste, contributing to the release of climate heating methane gas and toxic leche into our environment, and contributes to the overall cost of waste management as it quickly fills landfill cells. By diverting this waste through composting, it provides environmental benefits of creating a source of locally produced nutrient-rich soil and natural fertilizer for agricultural production that can potentially sequester carbon for better soil health, decrease our need for chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and irrigation, and reduce stormwater runoff and erosion. These multiple benefits could support food security by providing nutrients for plant health and growth, promoting water conservation because it's increased water holding capacity, and by reducing water utility costs. Bill 141-38 CRR is a proactive measure that is inexpensive to implement, but yet provides tremendous savings from post-closure costs associated with mitigating methane gas buildup due to organic materials. It also stretches public investment by potentially diverting 41% 26 from organics, and 15 from paper of waste from the landfill, thus prolonging its life. Because methane gas is a potent greenhouse gas, Bill 141-38 CR also addresses climate change. Bill 141-38 proposes to expand the single exemption in statute to the following. 1, up to 4 cubic yards of compost at any given month for no more than 3 households or apartment buildings. 2, up to 8 cubic yards of any given month for community gardens, schools, licensed restaurants, retail grocers, hotels. And 3, up to 10 cubic yards of any given month for farms. Prohibited items will include biosolids, hazardous or toxic substances, animal byproducts, non-organic materials, and others determined by Guam EPA. Composting shall be done in a manner that prevents the attraction of pests and odors and does not pose a human nor environmental health risk. Altogether, composting is nature's way of recycling organic material for its reuse. As a tropical island, Guam is an ideal location for composting, so the practice should be normalized and widespread. Many entities are ready to assist with internalizing this practice with households. Guam EPA, in collaboration with Guam Sustainable Culture, has been implementing the Composting in Every Village program, in which recipients receive fresh produce upon providing proof of home composting through data collection. UOG Cooperative Extension has produced a composting curriculum for teachers and community members, and many local families who come from Aragon roots have passed down this knowledge and practice. And I would like to thank our co-sponsors, Senators Chris Barnett, Therese Terlaje, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, and Will Parkinson, and I look forward to further testimony and the support. Senator Taitigui, would you like to read her? I think that's submitted by EPA, Guam EPA, right?
Yes, it has, on July 11, 2025, Mr. Chair. And I'm just going to, go over the important parts of this testimony that, of course, will be posted in the committee report as well. But it just says here, Hafaday Chairman Lujan, honorable members of the committee, the Guam Environmental Protection Agency supports Bill 141-38, which seeks to expand permitting exemptions for small-scale on-site composting activities. However, we recommend an amendment to remove Section 4, since the bill authorizes the Guam EPA to promulgate rules and regulations to officiate the permitting exemptions. Should this bill pass, the Guam EPA would initiate the rulemaking process. Further down in the testimony, it states, we appreciate that the bill maintains key environmental safeguards. 1, prohibiting hazardous material, animal byproducts, and biosolids. 2, requiring composting operations to stay on-site and be small in scale, and lastly, allow the agency to inspect exempt facilities to ensure proper practices are followed. Bill number 141-38 marks an important step toward a cleaner, greener Guam. However, the bill purports to amend rules and regulations, which is in function of the executive branch, as noted by the governor many times before in veto and lapsing statements. Rulemaking and lawmaking are separate and distinct roles, as provided by the Organic Act of Guam, which charges the executive branch with the power to issue regulations not to conflict with any applicable law, including Guam's rulemaking laws. Controversially, the legislature is charged with drafting and passing bills. Bill 141-38's proposed amendment to Guam's administrative rules and regulations infringes on well-established principles. While it is within the legislature's authority to pass a bill containing the provisions in Bill 141-38, once the legislature delegates rulemaking authority to an agency, as it has with the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. It must honor such delegation and not interfere with agency rulemaking unless the agency's rulemaking power is otherwise rescinded. The Guam EPA supports this legislation with our recommended amendment to remove Section 4. Together we can create a sustainable future. Adonkalusi Masi, and this is signed by the Administrator of the Guam Environmental Protection Agency, Michelle Lastomosa. Mr. Chair, that is the part of the testimony, I guess the meat of it, you know, that request to make some change to it.
Okay.
I have no other questions
I don't
to ask.
either. You want to go on record for anything?
Just a couple of things, Mr. Chair, and again, thank you for allowing me to speak very briefly on the bill. As we know, recently Guam EPA advised this body that the White House's fiscal 2026 budget proposal would slash all categorical grants from the U.S. EPA, which provides between $3.8 to $3.9 million to Guam EPA each year. So I just want to add just a couple of comments there, or even a question back to the committee that we could maybe get from EPA. Because of the potential federal cuts were not mentioned in the bill's fiscal note that was dated May 29th of 2025 and in GIPA's written comments, what information did Guam EPA have available regarding potential federal funding cuts at the time that BBMR sought comments from the agency with respect to Bill 141, and what guidance from federal counterparts has been provided specific to the $572,000 zero waste grant, which was received by the agency in 2023, and what contractual obligations, if any, are impacted by any potential funding cuts. And those are the only, I have some other questions, but I think this for now, to make this a little bit more, facilitate this a little bit easier, those are just my questions at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Montalano, and you're absolutely right. Those are questions that we have want to ask as well, and we're hoping that EPA would be here. I don't know if they're ready to answer those questions, whether they know the full effect of that implementation, but there'll be something that actually will be trying to communicate with them prior to even working on the committee report. Because, I mean, putting out a committee report and again, if there's something that they won't be able to do because of cuts in the federal side, so we'll be, again, you're a member of the committee, so prior to markup, we'll inform the committee members as to the status of that, because it's at this point unknown, and I don't know at this point either whether Guam EPA has full knowledge of the extent of the proposed cuts from the federal side. With that being said, let me just read the closing remarks from the author. Bill 141 aims to promote island-wide small-scale on-site composting by expanding permitting exemptions to include not only households but also apartments, schools, community gardens, licensed restaurants, retail, grocers, hotels, and farms up to a certain threshold, provided it poses no harm to human and environmental health. Bill 141-38 COR has many benefits, from promoting food security, prolonging the life of our landfill through waste diversion, curbing climate change by reducing the methane gas emissions, and creating community-centered on stewardship of our island. I would like to thank again our co-sponsors, Senator Chris Barnett, Senator Terlaje, Senator Tina Muña Barnes, and Senator Will Parkinson. I look forward to my colleagues' support. And that being said, the committee will continue to accept written testimony on not only Bill 141-38, but also testimony on the confirmations of Ms. Corey and also Attorney Hemlani. In the next 7 days, testimonies may be addressed to Senator Jesse A. Lujan, Chairman, and mailed to 259 Martyr Street, Hagåtña, Guam 96910, or submitted via email at senator.lujan@guamlegislature.gov. With that, no further business, this public hearing is now adjourned. It is now 3:06. Thank you very much for all the folks that are tuned in, and for the folks that turned out for the hearing. We're now adjourned. Thank you very much.